You guys want to welcome me back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. I am joined by a very special guest. He is a co-host of the Pin Down Podcast, also a producer over at the Pistons Pulse. Definitely go check out both of those podcasts. Really good podcast. Wes Davenport. Wes, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be on as always. Thank you again. I love coming on and talking some hoops with you, Anthony. So this should be a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to get the pair if I can, but I
Yeah.
I love talking to you. I feel like the last conversation we had, I had to look back at like over 6 months ago. So I mean,
Man, has it been that long? Jeez.
yeah, man. Like I'm such a shitty friend. Like I looked at Laz. I was like, man, I haven't not had Laz on yesterday until like September, and then I reached out to you. I was like, man, like I gotta get these guys on the podcast way more often. Like I'm a really shitty podcast, so I was having the same like two guests on. I gotta switch it up.
Yeah, it happens to us too. I mean, I swear, like we had Sean Murphy on. I want to say it wasn't too long ago, but I'm sure it was, and it was a great show. And I was chatting with him, like, man, we'll get you on again. Like, it's been great, and I haven't. I'm just as bad about it. There's so you know what the problem is here. We can make it a compliment. There's so many great Pistons creators out
Hmm.
there. And it's like, you're a host. You're trying to figure out who might be a good guest to bring on, and you just paralysis by analysis. You don't bring on anyone. There's too many options. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, Sean is probably one of the people that are like in my like contact list. I'll have him on. Uh, Me and him get in way too much trouble. We go down rabbit holes, and then it's not even like Detroit Pistons basketball anymore. Like we somehow went down like the Pablo Torre like Kawhi investigation for like 30 minutes. Oh, it's just like, dude, like we got to stop doing this.
It could be Pistons basketball. He's some Pistons fans want him as a target. Kawhi Leonard this
And
offseason. So hey, maybe that podcast becomes vital learning for everybody.
I don't know, man. We'll see. I got the pitchfork for mentioning him back to back weeks. So I understand it. I understand it. I feel like Pistons fans, there's like two sides of the fence with these big names and these big targets. It's off season. Like everyone's just like, are we gonna do it? Are we gonna make a big move? We'll see. We'll see. But one of the first topics I wanted to get into with the NBA finals going on right now is like how far away do you think the Detroit Pistons are from making the finals and possibly, competing to win a championship?
Two very different questions, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe the finals. I mean, look, you could point to the regular season. They did. I mean, they owned the Knicks, right? And the Knicks are
Mhm.
now. I don't. To be fair, I don't think that the Knicks were in the regular season what they are now. They're playing much
Yeah.
more cohesively. But I mean, honestly, I think they're probably fairly close to being able to make a finals push. Like they got so much young talent. Cade Cunningham's probably the best player in the Eastern Conference right now. Jalen Duren's still only 22. I think he's going to keep improving. You got Asar Thompson, best perimeter defender in the league. There's a lot of really good bones. So, if you can continue to augment that, add a little bit more shooting, add a little bit more ball handling, two things Langdon has talked about doing this offseason, yeah, they're close. I mean, they were close this year, right? We all know game sevens are unpredictable. Well, they were a
Mhm.
game seven away from having the opportunity to go beat the Knicks and make the NBA Finals. So clearly they're right there. And for all the worry about the Celtics when they get Tatum back, they had Tatum, they got bounced in the first round. So I think the Pistons are legit in the Eastern Conference. As for competing with the Spurs and the Thunders of the world, I do think that that's a little more difficult of a question.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to my guy Sean Windsor over the Detroit Free Press. We just had him on the Pistons Pulse, and the four of us were chatting a little bit after the show, and he brought up something and with Jalen Duren. Had been chatting about that previously as well. But could Jalen Duren be a little bit of a an answer for Wemby offensively? Right, like you look at what Carl Anthony Towns is having success with. I know he's got the shooter element as well, and Duren doesn't have that, but it's the physicality. It's go play some bully ball down low, and that's been working really well for the Knicks offensively. And we did see that in the regular season against the Spurs. Jalen Duren had one of his best games of the year when they really turned into his offense. So I wonder if you actually have a little bit of a baked in answer there. Cade Cunningham's obviously a stud. So all this is to say I don't know if they're totally outclassed by the Spurs and the Thunder, but that takes a little bit more work, a little bit more projection in my book to win the finals. I think they're closer to getting there than they are winning it.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a two-part question. My bad for that. But I thought with the NBA Finals going on, like a lot of Pistons fans are like, because we've seen so many mock trades with like big names. They're like, well, how is that supposed to help us compete with San Antonio? How is that supposed to help us compete, with the Spurs? And I love that you brought up the Duran point because I personally believe like I know a lot of things have been going around with the type of contract that he wants, and there's just so much discourse with the figure, like what fans want to pay him, if they feel like he's worth it. I think it's really dependent on like how he develops. Because if he doesn't really develop a jump shot, I'm not really sure if this is a team that could possibly win a championship. Like the dribble drives were an incredible development this year, almost averaging, 20 points a game on that. But, if he has that mid range, which I know is a kind of behind the scenes thing, a good 12 to 15-foot mid range, you get a go to post move, which I think with the physicality that he has and the 250-pound frame that he has, I think if he had like 1 to 2 post moves that he could use and the dribble drives and adding that mid-range game, I'm like, he could easily be a good 24 and 12 guy on a nightly basis, in my personal opinion.
I agree. I mean, the playoffs were bad,
Yeah.
obviously, but he's a young guy, and the playoffs are tough for a lot of young guys when they go in with some expectations. So my go-to Jalen Duren stat right now is there's a stat you can find this on NBA.com. It's a tracking stat. It's points per drive. All right, so it's essentially a ratio of points scored versus drives per game, and it's kind of an
Mhm.
efficiency metric, right? If this player drove to the rim, how many points on average are we expecting that drive generated? And you could take Cade Cunningham. He's a very good driver to the basket. He was at about zero. 0.6 point of a point being generated every time he went to the rim. Jalen Duren was 1-to-1. You could expect on average just under, it was like 0.997, right? Okay. You could
Mhm.
expect essentially 1 point on average being generated every time he put his head down and went to the rim. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it's kind of a unique archetype. You don't see it a lot because he's a really
Mhm.
big body. He's a roll man, but there's something there in terms of his self creation, and that, to put it in even more context, just know that ratio is insane, off the charts. Jalen Duren was one of, if not the most efficient driver in terms of points generated from those drives in the NBA last season. So if you're telling me, hey, we're going to ask JD to really focus on his ball handling so that we can continue to scale up, hey, we need a basket. We're going to give it to him at the elbow and see him go make something out of it, right? And if you're telling me he can add a mid-range jumper too, which he flashed down the stretch last season and a little bit in the playoffs, I mean that's such a unique problem for defenses to deal with. The only comparable I can think of is maybe like an Amari Stoudemire type player, right? A little bit heavier, a little bit more bulky, but kind of did the Duran's kind of doing the same thing. I think he could be a really unique tool for them. So just because you look around the league and you say, oh, he's not a stretch big, he's not Jokic with the ball in his hands, passing and creating for others. I think you could just as easily go around, find the other centers that can do what we just described. It's not a lot of them. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited for his future too.
it's a rare archetype. Like I had to think back. I like the Amari Stoudemire name. It's a really big throwback name for people to know who that is. I do know that we have some subscribers that were born after like 2000, so they probably don't know who that is. But that's completely okay. I'll definitely look up the
I'll look
tape.
up the highlights if that's you. Stat was
Yeah,
before he got hurt in New York, he was must watch TV. He was great.
yeah, him and Steve Nash were just a nasty duo in Phoenix. Another player I kind of look at Duran, and I kind of see it a little bit in the way that they move is a young Chris Webber when he was in Washington. Like I see like a lot of Chris Webber and Jalen Duran, but like to your point, like that driving stat doesn't surprise me because like watching this year, you could definitely see him just drive and like he knew what he wanted to do. And I think Draymond Green did it really well during the season. Like Duran was just such a physical player coming into the league, but he didn't really know how to use his body or use his frame. He's like he figured out how to use his body with angles, with gravity, how to get to the basket. And I think that's what you saw what the Magic and the Cavs tried to do is they were trying to take away his drives, and it did work offensively. I think the next step for him is like if they take away your drive, let's see a go-to move to the post. Let's see if you can step out between, a 12 to 15 foot mid-range jump shot. Because like, let's say you're pump faking on that mid-range jump shot, go to your dribble drive, get to the basket, get to the free throw line. Like there's so many things that he can do that I think can really elevate the ceiling of this team. And also like we haven't even talked about like what if Azar Thompson becomes more of a reliable corner 3-point shooter, or what happens with Ron Holland's development as well? Like, there's so many players on this team that I expect to get better this summer going into next season. And I think a lot of Pistons fans always talk about windows and windows close very shortly. This team is really young, like really young still. And back-to-back seasons, I think they've kind of shattered expectations. They've shattered my expectations. I did not know they were going to go from 14 to 44. Did not know they were going to go from 44 to 60. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do this offseason in the draft and free agency via trade. But I really don't think they're that far away. I think they're just a piece or two away from like really making the finals and like being an Eastern Conference, top tier team.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And just to circle back one more time, because I think you and I being around the same age, you'll kind of appreciate this. Jalen Duren's kind of fun to look at and project forwards, at least for me, because offensively, his game is imagine back. Like I'm glad you said Chris Webber. Imagine back to those early 2000s, the type of fours that were really successful then is kind of where he's heading. Like an athletic Zach Randolph, Rasheed Wallace without the 3-point jumper, Chris Webber without the three. Like we're kind of naming Amari Stoudemire. We're naming all these really big physical dudes that were lob threats, that were pick and roll threats, that can make something happen out of the short roll. And you could give them the ball 15 to 17 feet away from the hoop, and they'd go make something happen. And that's exactly what we're talking about with JD right now. And I just can't remember the last time there was someone in the league that like you looked at and you're like, oh, he could really do that at a high level. Maybe Blake Griffin, but he was such a nuclear athlete. That feels like a little bit of a different call. But that's what I'm thinking about when I'm seeing Jalen Duren. It's really fun, just because that's the era I grew up watching.
Yeah, I mean, you could even go from former Piston, RIP, Cliff Robinson. I think there's a little bit of similarities there as well. Like he was a really
Love
physical
it.
power forward back in the day, but uh, Cliff could step out and hit a three occasionally, which I, I I already know because like I told Les this yesterday because I'm pretty good friends with Jalen Duren's trainer. They're already like practicing 3 pointers, so like it's just like the proverbial.
As they should.
Yeah, it's the proverbial, "Oh, no, he's shooting Andre Drummond threes. We're in off-season mode. We're this deep in the trenches." It's
Hey,
just like, "Here
Andre
we go."
Drummond is actually the best corner 3-point shooter in the world right now. Did you see what he did to Boston? It's just
Oh,
raining
man.
threes from the corner with his little like chin shot. Oh my lord.
I
I'm happy to see that for Trey.
you know what was really funny? When they were, in the I think it might have been when they were playing Charlotte, and there was, like, a graphic going around because Con Knippel had his first taste of the playoffs, and it was, like, a stat that Andre Drummond had hit more threes in a short amount of time. He hit, like, 2 threes, and Con Knippel didn't hit a single three-pointer,
What a world.
in I was like, "Bro, like, what multiverse are we living in right now?"
Oh my lord. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good. Hey, good for Andre Drummond. He all those years of work that paid off. He earned it. Lord knows we've seen all the videos. So he's been working on this a while.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's a free agent. You never know. You never know.
If they need a third big, I'm all for it. I don't think they need a third big right now, but I
Yeah,
guess
well,
that's the topic of the episode, looking at the offseason, right?
yeah, for sure. I mean, when we kinda look at this roster, what do you think the biggest need for them is to address this offseason in your opinion?
I I would love to find a way to force or push the transition of Tobias Harris from essential starter to backup for. I think that that would obviously be very good for the bench. I envision him in that kind of Al Horford type role that he played for
Mhm.
Boston. Right, he came in, he was really important. He kind of set the stage, turned the locker room around, helped them build up, and then when it was time for them to take that next step, he moves to the bench, he takes that back seat. He's still every ounce the leader that he was. He's still just as vital to the team's performance as he was before. He's just no longer as featured. That's where I want to see Tobias Harris go. The struggle with that is wings and forwards are obviously really in high demand, and
Yeah.
especially the wings and forwards that you think the Pistons should kind of be targeting. Like you're talking about a guy, you want someone who's a better 3-point shooter. You want someone that can still put the ball on the floor and make something happen offensively, and you want them to be pretty good defensively. I mean, we just listed everyone wants that guy, right? It's not just Detroit. Everyone wants that guy. So in terms of like low hanging fruit, they need more shooting, they need more ball handling. It might be easier to go and add a guard. There are quite a few guards that, in my estimation, might be available for around that mid level exception that could come in and help with both of those things. But if you're talking ideally, right, like the biggest impact on this roster, I think if they could get a forward that can do both of those things, or all three of those things, I should say, at a really high level, push Harris to the bench, that would unlock more of the team's ceiling in my book than say just adding a Kobe White, who they very well could, and I think would be very helpful, but it wouldn't be as impactful to me.
I know the conversation I had last night with Laz, we came to the conclusion where like we wouldn't be against if the Pistons wanted to trade for Cam Johnson and then re-sign Tobias, so you could kind of have your forwards of a Cam Johnson and Tobias. I don't know who would start. I think it would be fun, but to your point, like I love the Al Horford mention because Tobias is going to be 34. I felt like this was the first year where we actually really saw him miss some games. He had that hip injury that kind of just flared up. It seemed like all season. I believe he had an ankle injury as well. I mean, we'll get into free agency because there are some power forwards that I think do make sense for the Pistons, and obviously the report that Tobias does have interest of coming back. It just kind of depends on like obviously what the ballpark figure is. I doubt he wants to retire a Chicago Bull, even though they have the most cap space. I doubt he wants to, retire a Brooklyn net. They're they're going through a rebuild. I think he understands like where the Pistons are at in terms of in the Eastern Conference and like how they'll probably still be a playoff team. They'll probably still be at least a top four team in the East, in my personal opinion, even with the healthy Boston and Indiana. I still believe that the momentum they've had, having still having the same coach, which is actually really important going into year 3 with JB. I personally think if you're able to find a power forward that may be a little bit more athletic in transition that can run with Asar and Kate Cunningham, um, and also have Tobias back, maybe it's off the bench, I think is a really high value veteran that can still contribute. I mean, we saw what he did in the playoffs, especially against the Magic. He was number 2 option, which I didn't think a lot of people assumed that Tobias was going to kind of step into that role just because of like everyone just mentions like him not being a contributor in Philly, but that has more to do with like the coaching in Philly than Tobias Harris itself. But um, I'm with you. I think power forward position to me is higher on my list than maybe possibly another guard, just because if Tobias does get hurt, like who is the long term four on this team personally.
Right. And like I will say part of my hesitation in some of this conversation is I just mentioned this on the pin down earlier today, but yeah, if the Pistons had won 48 games, this would be so much easier for me because I'd say, all right, they're close, but they're not all the way there yet. And you look at this roster, you got two young guys that over the next 2 years could really take a leap, and those two guys being, I think, Danis Jenkins and Ron Holland. And you look at the holes on the roster, you go, there's a hole at the 2 next to Cade and at the 4 next to Asar. And those two guys, if you give them time, I think that there's the potential that they could take the baton and really step into those roles forcefully. It's just the Pistons won 60 games and you want them to take a step forwards. And so you start looking, it's like, how close is Ron Holland, right? Can he actually be that guy? I don't know if he can next year. I think Danis is maybe a little bit closer than Ron Holland is. His list is a little bit shorter. I think, if you're just thinking offensively, if he's the guy he was last year, you wouldn't love it, but I'd be comfortable if he was the starter next to Cade. Even the coaching staff, it seems, in the
Yeah.
playoffs came to the conclusion that he's a better fit in the starting lineup next to Cade than Duncan Robinson is for now. So like if that's what it is to start next year, I think it's fine, and it has the potential to be really good. It's just when you've won 60 games, you got to game 7 against the Cavs in the second round, and you're like the Knicks. We already beat them a bunch. We've beaten up on the Knicks. Like we could take a big step. It starts getting really tempting to rush that a little bit. And that makes all these conversations we're having now just all the much harder, I think.
I agree with you with the Danis thing. Like I think that's why the Sam Vizini report with the Athletic of like all the draft prospects that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Like there's an archetype that the organization is looking for. They're looking for a guard that can not only shoot the ball but also handle the ball and set stuff up. It's not that Cade Cunningham isn't able to do that every night. But I honestly think when there's another guard out there with him and he's able to play off ball, he is just a mismatched nightmare in isolation. So I think that's why they're looking for, combo guards that can facilitate and also shoot threes.
Oops, sorry, I was on the mute button there. My bad, guys. Yeah, and just to further that point for you too, like Danis Jenkins last year in the regular season, I know everyone wants to forget the regular season, but 9 points and 4 assists, 2 rebounds. He's slashed 40, 37, and 83, so pretty good there for a smaller guard. But I want to call it his last 3 playoff games against the Cavs, all in high minutes. All of these are over 30 minutes. In game, what would that be? That would be game 5. 19 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. He went 8 of 17 from the floor. This is in the playoffs. Game 6, 15 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He went 5 for 11 from the floor. And then obviously he struggled a little bit efficiency wise in game 7, but so did everybody. He still put up 17 points and what would that be? 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Like Danis Jenkins showed up there in the game 7. And those are the games he started. No, he also started game 4. There's something there. There is. I think that there's something there. I'm more cool projecting that one out than I am Ron Holland at this point, but I love. He's probably my favorite Piston to watch right now, other than Cade Cunningham. Anyway, he's just a buzz of energy out there. And hey, if you can translate, if he figured out the playoffs there in those last 3 games, and he can translate that into another step forward next year, you've got a really nice guard to pair next to Cade. Two-way guy too.
He's a unique guard in a sense where it's like if Cade has to sit out because he's got like maybe like just like a little like questionable injury, he can start, and we've seen him take over games. We've seen him just hit buzzer beaters to tie it in the overtime. But yeah, like if he takes a step in progression, I think maybe that kind of quiets the. I don't want to say like the 2 guard position shouldn't still be upgraded. I think that there's always room to upgrade, but like I would be pretty comfortable like if you told me the starting lineup next year is like Cade, Danis, Asar, whoever the power forward is, and Duran, like I wouldn't be upset with it because he, to me, is probably one of the hardest workers on this team. I'm like the development you saw from the Motor City Cruise when they first signed him, Summer League to now, like he is improved dramatically. So I expect him to keep getting better. My only thing with him is like I wish he did finish at the rim a little bit better, but that's nitpicky by me. Everything else he does, I really value. I'm not really surprised that JB and the coaching staff wanted to, see what he could do next to Cade Cunningham in the backcourt. I think that's the archetype that they've been trying to figure out to pair next to Cade, is a guy that can not only shoot the 3 at a pretty efficient rate, but also handle the ball and set up his teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, it's kind of funny because I know my endpoint, but he's too fast, right? He's rushed. That's his finishing at the rim problem to me. He just needs to slow down, take that one gather step a half second more slowly. Don't go a million miles an hour right into the teeth of the defense, go up to try to dunk over three people. Do that every now and again because I love the aggressiveness, but like not every time, Danis, not every time. And that reminds me a lot of Jaden Ivey. I think Danis Jenkins can be everything that we wanted Jaden Ivey to be, maybe even a little bit more. It's just, it's still projection. Right? He's not there yet. So can he get there? I think he can. Is it next year? I don't know. I hope so. But we'll see. We'll see. I'd be, to your point, if you're going to pick one of those two positions, right, either the 2 or the 4, I'd say invest more in the 4 because I'm more confident that Jenkins can hold down that 4 at the 2 pretty
Yeah.
well, even without much of a step.
Not to mention, like, you still have Duncan Robinson on, like, probably the wildest contract I've ever seen before. Like, it's almost like an NFL contract in a sense where it's just like, yeah, we'll guarantee you for 1 year, but you're non-guaranteed. Like, we could cut you at any time and create cap space. Like, I liked what I saw to Duncan, but defensively, it's just kind of like you're holding your breath. They're like, okay, man, like if you can just like stay in front of him and at least try not to foul him, we're good. But I think you get a little bit more versatility with Danis, and I agree with you. Like, I think finding a long-term 4 to pair next to Dern in the front court should be more of a goal for this front office, whether that's in the draft, whether it's in free agency or via trade. Because you can't rely on Tobias to be here, for the duration of Cade Cunningham's contract that he just signed, because, Tobias is probably going to retire in a few years anyways. So maybe that's Ron Holland, like you mentioned. Maybe it's a Sar, which I wouldn't really know how to play a Sar at power forward, even though I think he could defend the positions and, out rebound bigs. But I think they do need to find that long-term 4 this offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, and in terms of fit with Asar, as long as you can keep Asar free to go guard a Jalen Brunson or a Donovan Mitchell on any given night, I'm okay with it. Like if you, I don't know, OKC wants to get rid of Lou Dort. You add Lou Dort. Dort starts at the 3, that pushes up Asar to the 4. I'm comfortable with that because you figure on you could still have like against the Knicks, right? Go have Asar take Brunson. Dort can take either of Bridges or OG, and you're fine either way. So as long as it's something like that, I'm cool with it. But yeah, generally speaking, like Asar's probably better down at that 3 where he's got a little bit more flexibility defensively.
100% agree. Well, I think we're both in agreement that the power forward position, I think is a position that I think a lot of Pistons fans, I should say, want them to upgrade. But there are some options possibly in free agency. So we're going to put a graphic on the screen for you guys for our next segment. And it's kind of just looking at free agency. And I've probably talked about free agency at nauseum, that people are probably sick of these topics for the past month. But I mean, like, looking at some of the possible free agents on this graphic, are there any that really pique your interest, possibly at the guard position or the power forward position?
I don't know if this is the name that you'd think I would have pulled out of the hat here, but I really do like Dean Wade. I'm gonna pull up his numbers here for a second because I know he's not the best defender, but he does give it a good effort. He's got good size. He's 6'9", 230. And last year for the Cavs, 6 points, 4 rebounds. He was 44, 36, 71. Like he's a very good 3-point shooter. He has been for the majority of his career. I like the effort level. How many? He started 38 games for the Cavs last season. Actually, the Cavs have another guy, Jalen Tyson, that I think if you could steal him, I'd be pretty cool with. But yeah, I like the idea of Dean Wade. I don't love that he's going to be 30 going into next season. But like, funny enough, you brought up like Cam Johnson. I'd probably rather go the cheapo route. Give me the 50% version of Cam Johnson and Dean Wade. Other than that, I do like Rui. Rui Hachimura, great shooter. I think that there's a little bit of untapped ball handling ability there for him. He flashed that quite a bit back in Washington and in international play. Hasn't done it as much for the Lakers, but the Lakers have Reeves. They've got LeBron. They added Luca. I think that maybe there's something you could kind of tap into. He's very physical and punishes mismatches really well. And none of these are the fun names like Norm Powell. I'd love, but I doubt he's gonna really be gettable. He can make the most he can make is by sticking with Miami. CJ Cullum the same way, and I know the Hawks want to keep him. I know the Wolves want to keep him around, right? Maybe you could still get in and steal him away. He'd be a great fit. Um, and for as unexciting and not necessarily inspiring as the free agent class is, there are a lot of really solid players that probably too many solid players. So someone's going to be taking a discount, and that should, in theory, work out for the Pistons well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much Chicago is just gonna like really try, even though they have the most cap space out of everybody. Like, I don't know if they're gonna like try to throw the bag like let's just say like a CJ. Like I doubt that he wanted to go play like on a rebuilding team because he was just on a rebuilding team in Washington. But Washington actually looks pretty nice right now. I'm not even gonna lie. Winning the lottery, you got Trey Young, you got Anthony Davis, still have Alex Sarr, and a bunch of other intriguing pieces over there that I really like.
He was
Um,
Atlanta, right?
yeah, he's in Atlanta right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the one name that Pistons fans keep mentioning is John Collins. Like John Collins, to me, I don't know if you can get him for a MLE. I think you might have to pay a little bit more because I think when you just look at the power forward market, it's like him and Rui, in my personal opinion. It's funny you mentioned Dean Wade because I told Laz I said I could totally see the Pistons saying we're gonna make a marginal move. Come on down, Dean Wade. Like I could totally see them doing that, man. And
Me too.
Pistons fans are like, we're gonna trade for the guy that got subbed out for Sam Merrill or whoever replaced them on the Max Struess. I'm sorry, Max Struess. Like I could totally see that, but you do like the size of him being like around 6'9", 6'10". He's not the most consistent 3-point shooter, but like you're just talking about like marginal cheap moves. Like Dean Wade fits the Trajan Langdon bill 100%. I like it's probably gonna happen because we're talking about it. Like, we're probably gonna see Dean Wade in a Pistons jersey, and someone's probably gonna say it's your guys' fault that you spoke it into existence.
It wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, look,
No.
if they're going to bring back Harris and they're still going to say, hey, we want Tobias to start another year and continue to shepherd along Ron Holland because that's our long-term plan. If you add a Dean Wade to come off the bench behind that and pair with Ron, like that works, man. It works. He'll come in. He can be a flamethrower. He'll go shoot. I love the energy that he plays with. He's a high effort, high intensity player that fits Detroit real well. He can start in a pinch. Like there's a lot of benefits, and he's not gonna be expensive. I mean, you're talking, maybe like you could get two Dean Wades for the mid level. That kind of thing, which is something you could do. You can't split up that mid level exception. So like if you wanted to go, I don't know, like looking at this list, like you get Dean Wade and Tim Hardaway Jr. for a combined 15 mil. I could see that. I could see that happening. And, it's not exciting, but two really solid players fill a role. Doesn't make it worse, right? I mean, it's maybe not as much better as you'd want, but it's a path of least resistance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like when you just kind of look at the free agency names, like obviously, I think the one name that I didn't put was Anthony Simons, and the only reason why I didn't is because as much as a bucket as he is, I just wonder how much JB could actually live with another guard that doesn't play defense. Because I feel like that's like really high on his list, which that's why I know we got like the AO DeSumo report that the Pistons weren't willing to actually include a prospect like in a trade with the Bulls. Like I feel like AO would kind of just be like a match made in heaven with the JB Bickerstaff. Especially of just kind of him possibly playing next to Cade, him being the backup point guard off the bench. Like he's just such a high level player.
Oh, I love his game. I've loved him since he was at Illinois. He's a great two-way player. He showed a little bit with the Timberwolves in the playoffs, being able to create a little bit for himself offensively too, which was new. I mean, I think he's an ascending player, even though he's a little bit older. The thing with Io is like, the Wolves want to keep him, and they've got their
Mm.
mid-level exception too. So you're going to have to get above that, and they're not going to want to sign and trade him away. So your only route with Io is like, hey, we're going to renounce everybody that's not named Jalen Duren. We're going to go the cap space route. We're going to cut Duncan Robinson and only guarantee the $2 million of his contract. We're going to hope maybe we can bring him back. We're going to trade LeVert into cap space, and then we're going to go give Io DeSumo like $25 million a season. You comfortable with Io at that? I don't know. That's a lot of projection,
Yeah, it's like I love him as a prospect. I really do. But like to your point, like I don't know if the Pistons would go through that many hoops just to sign him. Not to say that they can't improve the roster with like kind of like possibly getting off of Levert's money or um, looking at Duncan Robinson's contract of it being non-guaranteed after a certain date. Um, it's a lot, man. Like a lot of these names are just like low end. Like I wouldn't hate a Landry Shamet either. Like I feel like he's been really huge for the Knicks. Pretty good 3-point shooter too.
Yeah, I like Shamit as in the same class as like a Tim Hardaway Jr. who did have a really nice year in Denver, by the
Oh yeah.
way. So just kind of bringing in a bench shooter. Another name not on the list, but kind of my guy right now, Sandro Mamukelashvili. Been a fan of his since San Antonio, but
Hmm.
you're looking at he's a 4-5 kind of combo. He played a lot of the five last year with Toronto, but 6'9", good size, good length. I think he's like 240 or so, but put up 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 39% from three on about 4 attempts per game in 22 minutes a night. Like I I think he could even push Harris to start. I'll be totally honest with you. And the intensity that he plays with, I just absolutely love. I remember 2 years ago when Wemby was hurt, he had a really nice game against Detroit. Played like his hair was on fire. And I remember going back to Bryce Simon like after that game, going, "Who the heck is this guy whose last name like wraps around the number on his jersey? Because he needs to come to Detroit." And then lo and behold, he goes to Toronto and has a career best year. I mean, like that's the guy I'd give him the full mid level. I don't care. Come in, come compete to start. He's a floor spacer. He can play the five if you need him. If Stu's hurt, like I am all for Mamukelashvili coming to Detroit. That would actually excite me. As boring as that sounds.
Yeah, like he's a name that I've heard brought up back to back, like free agency, from
Yeah.
Pistons fans, and I'm talking about like I categorize certain Pistons fans with their ball knowledge. Like if they ask me about Sandro, I know they're like me. They're in the trenches. They're sickos. They're pissed. They're looking at Sandro and saying like
Right.
Sandro's a really nice player, like a really nice player. And I think he's kind of the archetype that we always talk about of like kind of having like a stretch big or a stretch four. I
Yeah.
think he does. I think he makes a whole lot of sense though. The only reason why I didn't put him on the list is I don't really know like what his market's going to be. You
Me
said you
either.
would give him you said you'd give him the full mid level. Like you're like,
I
well, let's
would.
just do it. Let's
I
do
would.
it. Like,
I'm all in. Yeah. He's in the same. If you're looking for like a history with this, last year the Pistons were loosely tied to Santi Aldama. Same kind of
mhm.
idea, same kind of player. They've got some differences. Sandro's a little heavier. He's a little bit more physical than Santi is, but you're looking at a stretch big. He can moonlight at the five. Not amazing rebounder, but there's a little bit there to untap scoring wise, and a very good volume 3-point shooter for a big. Same kind of idea. But yeah, in terms of like his market, you could get it. Maybe he's cheap. Maybe there are a lot of other teams seeing the same thing I am. Like I'd probably rather have him than John Collins because the idea of John Collins is always better than the reality of John Collins. So you can ask just about any team and any fan base that's had him. The numbers look great, and then you watch them and you go, I just wish we could get a little bit more out of this guy. So I'd probably rather have Mamu. And if you're talking Collins needs to get more than the MLE, which I agree he might, I don't know. This is just going to be a really weird free agency class, Anthony. I just it's going to be weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, we'll probably sign Dean Wade. Pitchforks will be out, and they'll be like, "Yeah, it's all your fault
He'll be
because you guys
running
talked about
victory
it."
laps. I came on Pistons Talk and I said Dean Wade. You called me crazy. No, you didn't. You didn't. You're good.
Like, I literally told Laz, I was like, I could totally see them doing that, man. And like, I know how Pistons fans are. The bum that got subbed out for Max Strus, that's who I was like, bro, like, just relax. Like, he makes sense. Uh, like defensively, I think Pistons fans would like him because he can use his length. It's just like if he became more of a consistent 3-point shooter, I think would be okay. It's just he's not the most consistent 3-point shooter.
Yeah, it's similar to Tim Hardaway Jr. as a 3-point shooter. They're both just very streaky guys. But I mean, streaky as in almost always been above league average on good volume. It's just some nights he's going to knock down five, and then the next he went 1 for 6.
Yeah.
You kind of live with the roller coaster there. But I think as long as you're not banking on him to start, it's life's good. Added another shooter, added some more size, high effort defender. Can't go wrong if you're really bargain bin hunting. That's solid.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of been like Trajan's MO is just adding marginally, which I think he's done a really good job. Like I remember doing a podcast last year with you and Blake, and like we were like kind of like, what do they do with Javante Green? Like, is he gonna be cut by like training camp? Boy, did we not know what Javante
Bro,
Green was
we
gonna do
we
this
were
year.
doing on the pin down, we did a lineup prediction, like predicting the rotations. And I remember Blake, my guy, he came on, he said something to me. I think we may have had Robbie on. We had some guests on, but we got to the wings and he said, My vital player for this year is Javante Green. I'm just kidding. He's not actually gonna play. And then now I'm like, dude, if you just had stopped, it didn't even matter that you were joking. We could have had you on record. You could have been saying Javante Green would have been having a big role, but no, you had to ruin it by saying it was a joke. Dang it. We're right there.
Bro, he was probably like out of all of Trajan's like marginal moves, probably the best I've seen because like yeah, he wasn't the most consistent offensive player, but he had his moments. But defensively, man, like crazy. Like him and Ron, I believe, were like top 5 in steals off the bench. Like that pairing that they had, just like causing havoc. Like he's a free agent too. Like I don't know if they bring Javante Green back. I think a lot of teams after seeing him play in Detroit, I think his market probably exploded a little bit. Like I could totally see like a team like the Lakers going after him 100%.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I'm right there with you. Talking marginal moves. Javante Green is a guy signed pretty close to camp on a veteran minimum contract, played 82 games, started 6, averaged 7 points. You're right. He was right up there in steals in only 18 minutes a night, over a steal per game, and shot 38% from three. Like, what value? That's unheard of. Absolutely. So, yeah, I think the Lakers is a good call. Actually, I could see that for sure.
Yeah, they need defenders that are actually playing that are past their primes. But hey, who knows what LeBron does? Who knows? Maybe he goes to the Knicks if they lose in the finals. Who knows? Like I could totally see that happening. But I have one
That'd be
more
wild.
topic. Oh, that'd be extremely wild if that happened. Like watch him go to like ring chase and go play with Wemby on a vets minimum. That'd be hilarious. Um got one more topic with the NBA draft fastly approaching. It's actually like really the 24th, I believe. So within like what 2.5 weeks or so. I've been asking every guest that has come on, who would you like for the Pistons to draft at 21 if they stay there? Or if they decide to trade up, is there a prospect that you like for them?
Yeah. So to the first part, if you stay at 21, I there are. Look, I'll be totally honest with you. I'm so early in the draft stuff that I'm
Mhm.
doing. Life's been busy. The Pistons have been good. It's just I was kind of enjoying the last end of the season, the last bit of the season here of just not having to care at all about the draft. That was brand new for me. So I was really reveling in it, probably too long. So I'm only just starting out. I'll say there seem to be a lot of guards right around that range, from projected 15 to 30, like that 15 pick range that I've liked early on. Like Bennett Sturts, the kid from Iowa, good shooter, good ball handler, solid-ish size. I don't know if he's just going to be a gunner in the league or if he can do a little bit more. But again, so I'd say that I do. Christian Anderson, another one. I like some of the guards, but I will say I think I'd rather the team sit at 21 or frankly not pick at all if you're going to trade the pick. If you're making a big move, that's a different conversation. But I don't love the idea of a trade up, even if it's for a Yaxel. Like it's you look at where the team is. Do they need to go invest in another lottery pick for a guy with high upside? Versus you could sit at 21. This is going to be one of the higher, ideally, spots you're going to be picking in for quite a few years. You can get a pretty good value player. I'm not saying play it safe. You look at this range, though, it's not like there are a bunch of nobodies that have gotten picked near the 20s. It wasn't Trey Murphy in the late teens, even. Like you can find guys here. So I'd rather mind that than turn around and try to really invest in one guy to make a big push because the rookie's not going to do that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at 21 and the guards that will still be there, like you mentioned Bennett Sturts, who I think a lot of Pistons fans just kind of have concerns with like what he'll be at the next level, but like he can shoot NBA range already. Like to me, like when I watch him, I don't know if he's an everyday point guard in the NBA. I see him being more of an undersized two guard that can just like really shoot it. Like maybe I know they don't really play the same, but like a Peyton Pritchard light at the end of the day. Like I don't really know if like that's gonna be like his type of role. Christian Anderson, I think if more people watch the games and watch the tape on him, I love how he operates out of the pick and roll. Like I think he's one of the smartest point guards in this draft class. I know a lot of people have mentioned Buka Okori as well out of Stanford. I mean, he's another point guard that I like. The a lot of people mention his height, but the cool thing about him is he's got a pretty big wingspan for only being 6'2". I think he's got like a 6'7" wingspan, so he can get out there defensively. I think Okori does make a whole lot of sense. I could definitely see him popping
Mhm.
and kind of just being like a draft sleeper in a sense, but just
Another
kind of
one
the
I've
power.
liked was Malik Thomas too. Seems
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
solid fit, all rounder.
yeah. I mean, you're looking for a bucket getter. I mean, like Malik Thomas, like checks a lot of boxes, and like
Yeah.
he can also operate out of the half court in the pick and roll as well. Like he's more than just a shooter. Um, there's like two. Or I should probably say, yeah, there's probably two players that I would trade up for. I'll tell you, it's Cameron Carr, which I honestly think Cameron Carr could possibly be Trajan Langdon's Trey Murphy in Detroit because I see a lot of
Okay.
similarities. Like Trajan traded up to get Trey Murphy. Like I don't know if
He
he would
did.
do it because like the timelines with New Orleans and Detroit are completely different. Like New Orleans was not a 60-win basketball team; they weren't the number one seed. But I mean, like if you honestly believe at the next level, the athleticism will still be there. You believe in the shot, you believe in the defense. Like I could totally see him trying to trade up for Cameron Carr, but personally would not surprise me if he's like a top 12 pick. Like if OKC keeps that 12th pick, I could totally see Sam Presti drafting him because there's just so much about him that every time I watch the tape, he's doing something else. Like it's the playmaking, it's the athleticism, running the floor in the correct lanes. Like there's so many things I like about him. One more guy that I think you would probably like, Hans Steinbeck out of Washington. He is just like the prototypical power forward we were talking about, can rebound the ball at a really high rate, can protect the rim, and has shown flashes to stretch the floor. Like he's projected top 15. If you're looking for a power forward of the future and you don't really feel like making that big splash for a power forward like the Laurie Markkins of the world, like, and you want to kind of invest into a guy that you possibly think could be the long-term four, I really like Hans Steinbeck out of Washington.
I'll add him to my list. I've not dove too far into it. I've seen a lot of like higher projections on him, but I mean, I've got Tankathon up now, just like looking at names. They've got him at 18. I mean, that's in range, you know. Um, yeah, that would be interesting. He's top of my list now. The other name I thought of, and this is kind of out of the blue. You know, we've been talking about guards, but Alex Caravan, winner, good shooter, solid fundamental player. I think you know, he's a pretty good defender positionally. I don't want to call him a great defender. I don't think he's an amazing athlete, but you know, senior out of UConn, 14 points per game. I think he shot at what was he at? Was he at 39% from the college three, 38? I I'd be for him. I know he's a fifth year senior, and that kind of limits your upside. But if you're looking for someone that can come in and play right away, I think he could play either forward spot. I like it. That'd be good value. Wouldn't be exciting, but he'd be a good player off the jump.
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to go the senior route, I definitely think he would be up there, like a Joshua Jefferson too, or a
Oh sure,
Richie
yeah.
Saunders out of BYU. But Richie is going to be like 25 by the time he plays NBA basketball. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
I
do you
think
really want to?
Caravan's only going to be 24. Who's it?
Yeah, I
Sharks was a
mean,
senior too, wasn't he? Yeah, but he'll be
yeah,
23. So
yeah.
not a fifth year.
There was a prospect that Laz mentioned last night, and like I have not looked at second round picks at all. I just haven't because I was like, we don't have one. But he mentioned this Italian guy that's 7'4", 289 pounds. It's projected to go 34 to the Kings. And he plays in the Italian league. His name is Luigi Sugio. And I was like, man, like I could totally see people looking at Victor Wembanyama and like, bro, we need a wimpy stopper. This guy's 7'4" and almost 300 pounds. Like, I actually watched some tape on him last night, and you see a little bit of like Brooke Lopez in him a little bit. I was just like, bro, like, I would
Is
trade
this
up
like is this
just
a
a shot.
Zach Eady pitch? Is that kind of what's going on? This is the first I'm hearing of the guy, but yeah, I see it too. Is 7'4", 290. Good God.
Yeah, man. Like, if you just want to just like take a shot in the dark at just like a draft and stash, possibly, like his per game averages aren't really that impressive. Like eight and a
What
half
level is
points,
that?
5.3 rebounds, only a block a game, but he's only playing 18 minutes a game. So I mean, I would just kind of like maybe just take a shot in the dark. I feel like a lot of Pistons fans, they always come back to me saying, like, how are we gonna match up with these bigger teams when we don't have a true 7 footer? I'm like, just draft a 7'4" kid out of Italy and just kind of just roll the dice. You never know.
So I'm looking. So this is Serbia, uh, and they do play ABA. So this is that's the first division. So that's a legit. Um, anytime you see an international player, a young guy under 20, putting up legit numbers in Euro League and not one of the feeder levels. So he was at KK Mega Basket. They play ABA. It looked like that's a tier one. 17 points, 10.5 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal, 2 assists. I mean, you got my attention.
Yeah,
I've
Laz
not
put me
looked at
on.
him
I
either, but
know.
you got my attention.
I gotta give a shout out to Laz. I was like, dude, like what? He's 7'4", really? I was like, I watched him last night for about an hour. I was like, okay, now I am obsessed with this kid. He's gonna be my Maxine Renault this year.
Oh God. Oh, hey, I mean, he'd fit. All right, so if we're talking like second round guys too, Terrace Reed I don't know if he's actually gonna be set. He's kind of borderline, but if you're looking centers, I know he's not the biggest dude. I mean, I think they've got him at 6'11". I'd bet he's 6'10", but he's he's very fundamentally sound big man. All of the big man stuff to me is like, hey, if you move Paul Reed to go get a
Mhm.
little like you want to let's say the Thunder are going to give up Case and Wallace because they don't want to pay his extension. They could trade for Paul Reed. That saves them $2 million, right? The Pistons can send him some second round picks or something to make it work. It never happened, but like something like that, right? If it's a younger player, they're on a cheaper deal. The team wants to cut salary. Paul Reed's a great contract to go and get. Terrace Reed would be a good fit for that. If you're gonna maybe find a way to buy a second round pick, which you can always do. I'd be on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, we have 15. I didn't know we had 15 second round picks. Like I
They
was like,
do.
when did we get that many second round picks? Like what are we plotting over here? Like that's
And I
insane.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the going rate for like 28, 29, and 30 is like 4 second round picks. When those teams don't want to, like Cleveland picking at 29, they may
Mhm.
not actually want a first round contract. They're one of the most expensive payrolls in the league. They may rather kind of trade back into the second round or just trade out entirely and play that UDFA market. Um, you want to send them 4 or 5 second round picks for 29? Sure. Hey, why not? Right? You could take a Terrace Reed and it fills a role.
Yeah, I totally see this front office if like he's still in range. Like Zuby Ejiofor just screams like
Sure.
Isaiah
Yeah.
Stewart. He screams
Hmm.
Isaiah Stewart vibes. Like he plays very similar, really high motor. I think he's projected early second round. Who knows? Maybe he goes late first round. When I was looking at pre-draft workouts, he probably had the most pre-draft workouts I've seen out of a prospect. Like there were over
Wow.
20 teams that worked this kid out. So obviously there's something that they like out of the kid. Who knows where his projections? I know Tankathon just updated theirs today, and I'm actually really happy that Heinz Steinbeck is down to 18. I'm telling you, man, you watch the tape on this kid, you'll fall in love. You'll fall in love with the
He's
kid.
top of my list now. I'm going to. That'll be the first player I'm watching after we're wrapping up here. I'm going to go take a look at Hans Steinbeck. That if your pitch is on, I'm in. That sounds pretty great to me.
I know someone's just like, if you like Franz Wagner, you like Hans Steinbeck, and I was like, man, I'm in,
Really
I'm in.
interesting. Okay, color me intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at power forwards in this draft, I was like, everyone's like, yeah, so I was like, I don't think he'll be there, even though there's like a fake report of him
Yaxel's
possibly.
a top 10 pick to me. I mean, come
I
on.
know.
I get the age thing, but man, he was so good.
Did you see that fake report that someone put out that he's like just not good in these interviews and his stock is falling?
I did not, I
Yeah,
doubt. Maybe,
yeah, yeah.
maybe.
It's like I don't want to call the account out, but they
Yeah.
aggregate like so crazy. And then like I saw earlier that they stole like Cody Davis's report and didn't even tag him. I was like, bro, like what are we doing? What are we doing? Like with the Tobias news this week. I was just like, bro, you don't have sources. Stop.
So the one draft thing that continues to confuse me is Ade Mara being like a lock for the top 10.
Oh yeah.
And this is coming from a guy that was like, I was all over Zach Edey a couple years ago. I wanted the pick. I was like, I might think about taking him at 5. Like I was in on Zach Edey, and
Yeah.
I do not see that same thing with Mara as a Michigan basketball fan who watched, the big run into the national championship. I don't see it as much. I don't see the skill, I guess I should say.
I would say Zach Edey, like he was just more imposing in
Yeah.
college versus like
Hmm.
a day Mara. Like I I think the biggest reason why Mara is like so high, like projected to go as high as 6 to Brooklyn is because I think a lot of teams are looking around the league and like we always talk about players that kind of change the game. And I think so many organizations are just kind of looking around it, looking at Victor of like how to possibly like negate him. I will say Mara is a little bit quicker in just how he gets into his
He is.
sets.
Yes.
Um,
His foot speed's definitely much better.
yeah, he's more laterally quick, but like to your point, like yeah, Zach Edey was just a I I understand what you're saying. Like there, like it's
He
not a
wasn't
one to one
fair
compare.
at Purdue. Like
No, it wasn't.
Edie could hit a mid-range jumper really well. He flashed a little bit out to the 3-point line, and he had this uncanny ability to like kind of make something happen with the ball in his hands, even if he wasn't back to the basket. Like he could get into certain spots and go make some offense. He was darn near unstoppable for a couple of years there at Purdue. Yeah, I just don't. I don't see. It's the skill level to me. Like if you're talking Mara down 15 to 20, I'd be really excited. Top 10, not as much for me. But now I sound exactly like everyone who said, Wes, you're crazy. You wouldn't take Zach Edey top 10. That's nuts. He doesn't belong up there. He'd be much better 15 to 20. So what do I know? What do I know?
I mean, when he was healthy out there with Memphis, he looked damn good. He looked damn
Right?
good. Like, it was really hard to score on the basket. He's just a low post nightmare for opposing teams. Obviously, the conditioning has to get better,
Yeah.
because it's like he was like out of gas in like 5 minutes. But like,
Yeah.
I think the Mara hype is like the combine. Like, he had a really good combine. They showed how laterally quick he was. Showed the ability to stretch out the floor a little bit, but um, I think it's just we're looking at Wemby right now, and everyone's just looking for 7-footers that could possibly match up with him. I don't
Yeah.
think Ade Mara is a Wemby stopper. I just
No.
don't. No, I
Well, there
think
isn't a
people
Wemby stopper.
not yet, not yet.
Chet Holmgren was supposed to be the Wemby stopper. They took 2 games to figure out, hey, we actually need to have Hartenstein guarding this guy.
Hey, maybe it's his brother. His brother's coming out in a few years.
True, that's true. I don't know. I think you stop Wemby by ramming a bowling ball through his chest, and you see what happens from that. And I think the Pistons are actually pretty well positioned to do that with Jalen Duren. But like, you're looking at other. Hart had some success. Hart had some success. Karl Anthony Towns is having some success doing that. He's so wispy and wiry. You're never going to beat him with length and size. So just, it's like the Dora the Explorer crap. We can't go over him, can't go under him. You got to go through him. I think that's the only
Yeah,
way.
that's what even JB said. Just go right at him in his chest. Like,
That's how you
just
get any shot blocker, right? Just
yeah.
launch at him and hope for the best.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just an anomaly. Like, I still don't know who's gonna win
Yes.
the game tonight. Last game was like so distracting because like more people were talking about Trump being at the game versus like the actual game, and I was just like, dog, like, what are we doing?
Well, I've gotten into the habit of when I get home, I set my phone down by the front door, and I'm just not by it. So I'm not on. If anyone who listens to this like follows me on Twitter, that's why I don't tweet as much anymore. Just for being less distracted. That's why I've been doing it. I bring this all up to say when I turned on that game and there was even a little bit of focus in the broadcast of like, oh, the president's here. I was floored. I was totally shocked by it. I had no idea this was going on. And then I'm laying in bed after the game, scrolling a little bit before going to sleep. And sure, it's like all over Twitter. Like, oh man, I must have missed a great day to be on Twitter. There must have been some really funny tweets out there
Oh
that I unfortunately
my
missed out on.
man, they're generational. Like, Knicks fans were crashing out and they're blaming Trump for the reason why they lost because like he just sucked all the energy out of the building. I was like, bro, you cannot blame one person. Yeah, he did shut down half the city. I get it,
You
but
did.
you can't blame one person for the reason why you lost. Even though like Wemby started the game by just like basically tried to take Jalen Brunson's face off, which I was just like, bro, what are we doing? This, like, Jalen
Yeah.
Duren gets suspended for Musa Diabate's face, but freaking Wemby doesn't get a suspension at all. I see how it is.
Do respect Wembanyama taking the approach of, hey, if you're going to guard me physically, I will play a little dirty. I respect that. I didn't
Uh,
expect to see it, but I respect it. I wish he didn't go for the fouls as much as he does, but I do I respect that little bit. Yeah, I'll just like shove the little 6'2" guy to the ground for real because I know he's going to flop anyway. So like I'm just going to get my money's worth. Oh, they didn't call it. Cool. Who
that
cares?
that that whole play was hilarious because I was more focused on Cat because he's just like
Oh yeah, I didn't
flailing.
even see it.
Yeah, he was like flailing, like his arms were like up like this, like trying to get post position. I was just like, every time I watch Cat, I just like bust out laughing because he's just so unathletic and like he's not really orthodox. Like when he tries to like
Oh
just get
man,
post position, and I'm like, bro, like what are you doing?
dude, my wife, we were watching the game, game three, and cat cat jogged down the floor and he was long on a three. And My wife was like, who's this bench warmer that runs like a toddler? Why is he out? I was like, no, actually, that's an all-star. He's a really good player. He just doesn't know how to run. I don't know. He's just got that look about him. Runs kind of up like this.
I like he's really good, but like he's so unathletic. Like I'm like, bro, like how are you?
He's not. It's like he's not, but he is. He looks so unathletic in how he moves, and then he can jump, he can move, he can. He's not super fast, but he's got some quickness to him. He's strong. It's like he's a solid NBA athlete. And then you watch him out there, and it's like the giant version of Kyler Murray running. Like what is this?
His fadeaway shot still haunts me in that first round series last year,
Yeah,
or he like made it like
banker.
over. I was like, bro, how the hell did he make that? That was just like, man,
He's good.
we're letting Cat hit Sellies and LCA, man. Like we can't let that happen.
This is not the show to be saying this on, but there are a lot of Knicks players that I genuinely really enjoy watching play basketball, and Karl Anthony Towns is one of those. He's good. He's fun. It's funky seeing a 7-1 guy just launching threes 5 feet behind the line. Like they got some good personalities, even if we got the rivalry, and it's a good time with that too.
Yeah, I remember when I wanted Josh Hart, and I had one of my buddies.
Oh
I was like,
yeah,
dude, can you like make a Josh Hart Photoshop? And like Josh Hart saw it, and he's like, nah, I don't want to play for the Pistons. I was like, man.
broken. I think I remember that actually. Yeah. The other OG Anunoby, love his game. He's been playing out of his mind too.
Yeah, I mean, low key, like as much as I despise the Knicks, when Jalen Brunson gets going, it's crazy. Like he can't miss. Like the game one in the Eastern Conference Finals when they're down 20. Like it felt like he
Yeah.
made like 18 points by himself. Like I was like, bro, what is going on?
Yeah. He's one of those guys. Like he catches fire, you got to turn on League Pass. Go watch Jalen Brunson. And I gave him a little crap earlier calling him the flopper, but he doesn't flop as much as say a James Harden or a couple other names that will go unnamed here on the show. Like really, really great player. I like the Knicks, but I hate
Yeah,
the Knicks. You know?
yeah. I feel you. Like I can't hate watch successfully because like I hate both of these teams equally. Like I was just like, why do they have to be the Spurs and the Knicks? Like, why couldn't it just been like
Yeah.
OKC so I could root for OKC?
I would have hated Cleveland more. I'll be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
I can't root for James Harden. I was upset when they traded for James Harden because I like a lot of the Cavs players. I'm a huge Evan Mobley fan. I'm a huge Jared Allen fan. I love Donovan Mitchell. Those are all guys I love flipping on. I love flipping on League Pass and seeing them on my screen. And then now it's James Harden's joining them, and I just have to root against him at all times.
It's not even basketball at that point.
Nope.
He sells contact to the point where it's just like you're not even playing basketball anymore. You're just
Yep.
manipulating the rules, and it's just like I wonder why the Pistons have 40 less free throws in a series. I wonder why.
Jeez, no
But
kidding. No kidding. Yeah.
but I appreciate you coming on, man. I know it was like super last minute. Always enjoy having you on. I want to give you the floor uh, for where people can find your work over at the Pin Down Podcast with Blake Silverman and what you do over at the Pistons Pulse as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so if you're not listening to the Pistons Pulse, one, have you been living under a rock? I mean, come on. It's a great show. Bryce and Omari do a great job. We get some guests on as well. We had Keith Smith on not too long ago breaking down the whole cap situation. So Pistons Pulse is awesome through the Detroit Free Press. I produced that one. So find that anywhere you're listening to podcasts. The Pin Down, that's through Detroit Bad Boys. It's Blake Silverman and I, usually a mailbag show, but we've done a couple episodes of just kind of doing some wild off-season predictions. That's been a lot of fun. You can find that as well anywhere you're listening to podcasts. As for me, I'm not on Twitter as much anymore. Just life, things get busy, but that's at the real Westy 3. You can follow me when I do put something out there. And of course, with all these podcasts, we're on YouTube as well. And Anthony, thank you again for having me on the show. It was a great time. I'm sorry I totally derailed our draft conversation there. That's my bad. But this was a great time. I appreciate you having me on as always, and we'll have to turn it around and repay the favor here.
Yeah, I mean, I gave you some homework to watch Hans
Oh
Stiebeck
yeah.
and maybe look into that international Italian kid Luigi. Because Laz put me on last night. I was like, bro, like now I'm intrigued. Now I can't stop watching this kid. Now I want him.
Absolutely. That's those two are top of my list now. A very long list, admittedly, as I am quite behind on this draft stuff. So hey, it's not homework if you like watching it.
Hey man, the shout to No Ceilings. I feel like every time I want
Oh,
to
they do a great
freaking,
job, man.
I know I'm having them on tomorrow, which will
Those guys are the
be
best.
that's gonna be so much fun just asking them draft questions. I'm probably gonna annoy the shit out of them, but hey, that's what it's for.
No, they are awesome. They we've done mock draft stuff with them like live on the Pistons Pulse before. They great guys over. They do great work. So yeah, you guys follow those ceilings. NBA for sure. All of those guys are amazing draft content.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're losing so many draft content creators that keep getting hired by NBA teams. I was like, bro, can you guys
Says a
stop?
little bit about the quality of stuff out there for us, though.
Yeah, I was just like, you guys better stay away from Bryce. I swear to God.
Absolutely. That's our one guy. That's our Pistons draft guy. Let him stay.
Like, if I want to ask him a question, hell, answer me right away. Like, I tried to reach out to one of the draft guys that I usually talk to, Hoop Intellect, but he got a job from the Boston Celtics, and I was just like,
Oh,
dog,
dang.
like.
Hey,
I was like, damn. And then like Mike Schmidt's he's got like a really high up job now. There's
I've
just
seen
so
him.
many there's just so many good draft content creators out there. The fact that they do it all season long, I think it's a bigger grind than actually hosting a Pistons podcast because you gotta like
Oh,
stay in the know
yes.
with all of these kids. Like it's crazy.
These guys know, preliminary stuff on drafts 2 years into the future right now. It is insane. I mean, the work I see it obviously because of Bryce, right? But the work all these guys do is incredible. You and I, we just grab a microphone, we come on here, we talk Pistons hoops, and we have a good time. Those guys are, you talk about homework. They're doing it year round, and really in depth. It is incredible, and we're lucky to have it as a resource. It's awesome.
100%. But we will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys did enjoy this episode. It was a lot of fun. Always talking with Wes. Got into a lot of different things. Went down rabbit holes, but that's my fault with my ADD. But see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.